Hi, my name is Sammy Razag, and today I'm going to be talking to you about video game security and how it can be circumvented. This is for my ICS 382 course with Sue Fitzgerald. So, to begin, let's ask ourselves, why do people cheat? When it comes to MMORPGs, automating certain processes in the game will allow you to play at a consistently high efficiency. This will save you time and allow you to progress more quickly. In the event a player might be new or the learning curve of the game is very demanding, having a lack of skill or game knowledge will hinder your ability to achieve levels and high tier items. Cheating can be used to enhance the stats of a player or provide some sort of assistance to overcome these obstacles. The third reason people cheat is because of curiosity about underlying physics or structure of the game. If you're able to debug or disassemble game code, you can find bugs, loopholes, and other exploits which can be abused. In addition to these reasons, cheating can just be fun. It can be silly to do things which are not normally possible in the game. It also gives you a competitive advantage, allowing you to win more often, which some find fun as well. Finally, cheating in video games can be extremely profitable in the real world. Now that we've discussed why people cheat, let's transition over to how people cheat. There are many types of cheats, but for the purpose of this video, I will only mention the most common four types. When it comes to MMORPGs, the most common used form of cheat is botting. Bots can be programmed to carry out repetitive tasks, play dynamically, and respond to their environment more quickly than humans can. They also don't need to sleep, so they can be run day and night, and it's even possible to run multiple instances of a bot at once. Another popular form of cheating is injections. It's possible for a player to inject malicious dynamic link library files into a game's executable code at runtime. These DLL files add superior functionality for players, making a lot of client side hacks possible. However, it's extremely risky as detection rates are very high. Another example of cheating is memory modifications. It's possible for a player to access their RAM with third party software and change values at certain addresses which correspond with certain values in the game. Our final cheat is a form of network tampering called a lag switch. This mainly works on peer to peer connections, but it involves disconnecting from your internet long enough to queue up actions in your client, but short enough to not drop connection from the game. Once you reconnect, you will perform all your actions at once, resulting in some crazy effects. Okay, so for this example, we're going to be using Cheat Engine. Cheat Engine is an open source memory scanner. It allows you to view specific RAM addresses and their corresponding values. It also lets you make changes to them as well. So in this game, Minecraft, we have these blocks down here. Now, these blocks have a item quantity, which is 5 here, and 64 on this one. So I'm not able to add any more to a stack of 64, right? So this is the limit for a stack of blocks. But if it's less than 64, I can add them all I want. So what I'm going to do is um, I can type in specific or exact values or a range of values into this cheat engine, and it'll show me all the RAM addresses with the input that I typed in. If this updates, these are now RAM addresses that were 64 and have been updated to 32. These could be coordinates, item IDs, all sorts of things. So what we're going to do is take this stack of 10, we'll update that to 9. So we'll start off with 9 blocks here. Then we'll drop it down to 8. Do another scan one more time here. Okay, so might have to, we'll just start a little bit higher. Because I think if it drops too low, the 4 bytes kind of kicks in down to 2 bytes. So we'll start with 11, then down to 10. Then, oh, I think I do see it. So, yep, this is the RAM address for my blocks. We'll just change that really high. Awesome. So now in game, I have 999 dirt blocks. So this is kind of interesting because this actually exceeds the limit for what a normal stack should be. So even right now, if I was to drop them into my inventory, it would drop in stacks of 64 because it's reached that limit or exceeded that limit. So that's one interesting way of using a memory modification to override some of the rules of the world. Um, let's see. So another thing this will let you do is that in single player games, the time of the game is actually also saved in your RAM, and Cheat Engine has a process for detecting that. So we can enable this thing called a speed hack. So it's at 1.0, so that's just the normal traversal of speed in the game. Now, if I was to maybe put that at 5, this will accelerate, yeah, weather patterns, my movement, the day and night cycles, even the animations of certain animals, um, growth cycles, everything. So this is a very interesting way of um, speeding up time and progress in a game. Now, there's one here called the unrandomizer, which even gives you a warning for it. But essentially, what that does is if there's a function in the game that will reward you with like 1 to 5 of a certain item by completing an objective, the unrandomizer will change the random number generator to always input the same value into their randomized function, which will always output the same result. So instead of having a random seed that will generate each time, it'll just be a constant input of the same value, which will give you the same output. So that's a very helpful technique to remove a lot of the luck-based things in certain games. So if there's a 1% chance to receive a certain item, you might be able to actually change the input seed to be a constant value to always guarantee the result. Now, even in Minecraft, these items here have item IDs. So for example, right here, if I have nothing, that's an item ID of 0, which corresponds to air. This one is an item ID of 3, which refers to the dirt block. If you're able to find the dirt, even if you typed in the dirt string within Cheat Engine, which I think it allows you, oh, let's see, so we'll do a new scan of string. I believe you might be able to search with strings on this game. Yeah, so you might be able to find this specific object, and you can even disassemble the memory region and access even more information and tools about that particular object and how it relates to other RAM addresses. And you can even find the item ID from there and change it to something like a diamond sword, right? So these are very, very powerful techniques that players can use to essentially just have everything they want within a matter of seconds. In this example, we're going to take a look at old school RuneScape. This game is notorious for the amount of bots players use and how effective they can be. So I'm currently on Karamja Island, and we're looking at the free-to-play accounts where people often bot. You wouldn't want to use a membership account for a bot because if they get banned, you're just going to lose out on your money. Um, but what we're going to be looking for are characters that look like this: tan shirt, green pants. I think there's another one maybe over here as well. But generally what they are is the default look of a character. So when you make an account, you typically want to customize your character. And if you leave it as the default one, it's a huge indicator you're a bot because most players that are botting just select the default one to begin with. They just want to skip the tutorial, get on the island, and just get their bot running. So the reason I paused the video right here is because while editing this clip, I realized something really bizarre transpired right in front of my eyes that I was completely oblivious to. I only realized the effects of it after it happened. So what I want you to do is pay very close attention to this girl right here, the one in the pink shirt and the tan pants. When I resume the video, you'll see that she's actually going to detect a new fishing spot that opened right behind this dock. When she reacts to this, the rest of the bots in her group, probably being run by the same person, the same script, what they're going to do is all follow her and click on that exact same fishing spot. And this is especially so because this fishing spot just closed up for these bots as well. So you'll see this take place. After which, another bot will appear here, and he fit the perfect description of what a bot will look like that I was talking about just before this happened, and that's why I chose to follow him. And right when I follow him, I just happened to meet this entire treasure trove of bots that just got there right in front of my eyes. All right, here we go. So most bots are level 3 combat. So this is the combat level, 99 combat level for me. But a bot's combat level is usually level 3. When you just start out on RuneScape, you'll have level 1 stats for everything. All of your skills will be level 1. So actually, we're going to follow this guy because I think he's definitely a bot. Oh, wow, that's a lot of people. Okay. So bots, they're all level 3. This is literally all of them right here. This, I think they're actually running the same exact script. But this is so weird. Uh, I guess this is like the place to be. Yeah, these all of the ones left right now are level 3 with except one guy. But anyway, that's kind of crazy. So after watching all of those bots in action, it really got me curious. Just where are these players able to get these scripts from? After a few Google searches, I found out about powerbot.org. At this website, they offer free and premium scripts for both versions of RuneScape. The way they're able to achieve this is by allowing players to use this API that actually interacts directly with RuneScape and provides context clues for their environment if you're able to really go in depth with this API. One really good implementation that I saw was this one for lava dragons. Now, this specific script is quite risky because to kill lava dragons, you do have to enter a part of the world where players are able to kill other players. And if you die, you would lose all of your items. However, these bots are able to use those context clues and actually respond to players in the area. So the bot is actually able to auto log out right when a player is within range of hitting them. So this is very interesting because it provides you with this high risk, high reward opportunity, but it's low risk because bots can respond instantaneously to threats around them. So this is basically low risk, high reward if you're using a script. And lava dragons are particularly profitable, which could allow you to make about 80 cents US per hour if you were to sell the gold that you make. And if you run maybe a couple bots in tandem and have some spread around or maybe in different worlds and run them 24 hours a day, this could be particularly a really good money making method. Um, However, this really creates a sort of arms race between the developers of the game and the sort of hacking community, because on one hand you have more sophisticated bots, and on the other hand you're going to have a development team that's going to create more intrusive detection systems, and that could possibly flag legitimate players, which has been the case through across many games in the past. So one implementation that I like to see more from developers is a solution that Riot Games has done for their popular game called League of Legends. Their approach to cheating is to prevent it altogether, so they favor prevention over detection and deterrence. One way they're able to accomplish this is by using encryption to prevent DLL attacks, such as injecting these dynamic library link files into their actual engine. The way this works is when the engine makes a call for a function, it'll actually do a jump call to the cheat that you would have uploaded, and then jump call back to a specific function to pretty much continue that procedural call. The way they encrypt it is they encrypt just the specific section with the text, the raw text in it. So they don't really care about these headers here. They just care about the text because that's the thing that the players would want to care about if they were to create a bot or script that will hook onto the code. So this is the part that a player would need to see. So they encrypt specifically this section, and they do this by using a packer, which will unload everything as it's called. It'll decrypt everything as it's called, which is just this text here. So that's a particularly good implementation for under the hood sort of stuff to allow the engine to run the same for players, and it will just make it increasingly difficult for a rogue user to develop cheats to begin with. Another interesting technique was this one here, where they actually changed the toggle points or the breakpoints for their game each time it's loaded. So if you load the game once and you change a few values, the game could maybe just not crash at all, and you would proceed with those values. However, if you perform the same values in a second run or second instance of that build, you will maybe crash instantly, or you'll have a delayed crash. So it will always leave the user guessing as to what specific action they've done while debugging the game to cause this to crash. The final implementation that I saw that was really interesting was their use of their memory searching tools and how to prevent them. So with Cheat Engine you saw earlier, I was able to zone in on the item quantity RAM address, and I was able to change that and even override the game's limitations. However, with Riot Games, what they do is actually switch the RAM address each time the value is changed. So if you have 100 health, the RAM address corresponding to your health value will change when the value changes. So this will always leave the user guessing as to which RAM address corresponds to which certain statistic. Is this RAM address for health? Is it for another resource? By switching the memory address, you'll always leave them guessing, and they'll never be able to zone in on it. With Minecraft, if you recall, I actually did mess up the first scan, the first set of scans, because I believe with Minecraft they actually switch the RAM addresses on a time interval. So every 5 minutes it might switch to a new RAM address. But all in all, these are really good implementations for under the hood to prevent players from creating the cheats to begin with. Whereas with RuneScape, they sort of let you make the cheats and then just try to ban you afterwards. So they're always kind of trailing behind. But they have changed their method of approach recently, where they are starting to ban players on an IP scale. So if a bot is caught cheating and is banned, they will take note of the IP address, and if they detect maybe more bots from that address, they will ban that IP altogether, which will mean that your main account, the one that's most valuable to players, will not be able to get used. To wrap up, I hope you found this video very informative and detailed enough to provide a pretty good insight into the effects of cheats that they can have in both single player and multiplayer games, even if you don't game yourself. Please consider leaving a like and leave any questions or feedback in the comments section below. Thank you for watching.